All right, welcome back to another edition of Silent Sirens. I've got some pretty special guests for the Cy-Hawk Week. Got one of the best, arguably the best tight end to play at Iowa, and arguably one of the best sideline reporters to ever be at Iowa State.
He's got my vote.
Yep.
Notice how he didn't vote for me
Yep.
on arguably the best tight end. What is that? I mean, that's
It was
just
it was arguable. That's at best.
So, which side of the argument are you on?
If they had thrown the ball at Kittle more, maybe
True.
he would be in the argument, but
we actually talked about this last time I was on here. You changed the tight end position with Tony Gonzalez, yourself, Antonio Gates. I'm trying to go.
How
back
much
to
do
that
I
group.
owe you guys for?
No,
saying
that's
that?
like the crew. Like that's the crew that
yeah.
turned it over in the
Yeah.
NFL. It's pretty cool to watch. It was awesome to watch.
Those two dudes were. I mean, they were next level. And it is funny. I mean, I wouldn't go back to play when we played, right? Because I mean, it was like when safeties could hit you in the back, and it was football. It was tough and finding an edge, and I think it was kind of that new thing where offensive coordinators like, hey, let's use this tight end and like let's use them as a threat instead of just a blocker and all that. And so to be part of that kind of that trailblazing was pretty cool.
yeah, especially to see Purdy and Kittle nowadays.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I feel like they kind of like reunited Iowa for a good fall last year. I feel like them have success. I feel like Iowans didn't know what to do because like we hadn't seen this before. Two teams from different spots be in the same position.
And look how both of those guys, how their college careers mirror each other.
Yeah.
They weren't studs, college players, right?
Nope. Good for
And
the team.
Good, really good team. Yeah, really good college players. And then, I mean, Purdy, like, come on. I mean, you guys are going to back him up more than anyone. Did you guys expect this to happen?
You knew he'd be around, right? Don't you think?
Yeah.
I think you knew he'd be around.
Like a CJ Beathard for the Hawkeyes, for us. He's down in Jacksonville crushing it. He's second string, and he's a guy that comes in and does well.
Right. Yeah. It's you knew he'd be around. No way did anyone anticipate you're going in to be that guy. You're going to back up Trey Lance, and next thing you know, like that offense fits him perfectly. Every offense that fit him perfectly, no. But like when you have a threat at running back with Christian McCaffrey, you have a threat at wide receiver. By Ayuk, you got Kittle, obviously at tight end. Like you spread that around. Debo, another running back and slot guy. Like what are you going to do? You don't have to go deep every time. It's perfect for his game.
Our Cyclone offense coordinators going, why didn't we do that stuff? I mean, is that something that they missed on not doing that? I mean, they obviously did some of that stuff, but
they won a Fiesta Bowl with them. I think they kind of got a little bit of it right, but
that's
could they have done better?
His senior year though.
Yeah, it was a lot of close games. You're right. They didn't get over the hump on that.
Yeah.
And they had Brees Hall at the same time. You have Will McDonald. You have a first, second round draft pick.
Yeah.
It was close. I would tell you it was close.
Personally, for him, really happy. I mean, great dude.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, represents, obviously that Arizona kid representing Iowa, and but it's always good to see those Hawkeyes and Cyclones go to the next level, and you got to cheer for them. It's awesome.
It is.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I cheered for a quarterback in the NFL because the last time was Seneca, and it's been a long time since we've had a quarterback. So it's just like nice to have like a face on like like the best team that like one of the arguably on odds wise the best in the NFL have in the state of Iowa. One of the in the NFL, it's something different. And honestly, an Iowa State fan, it's honestly taken a while to get comfortable with because, like you said, Purdy didn't really have those expectations coming out of college, and I think him being the 49ers was kind of similar to what he came to the Cyclones. He had a star running back right away, Hakeem Butler. And I think he just like came in, knew the offense, and Kyle Shanahan loves him, and it's gonna be fun.
Does the NFL have sophomore slumps? Like, is that? I mean, because that's
You tell us. Didn't you break a leg in your sophomore year?
No, that was my rookie year.
That was your
my
okay.
rookie year.
All right.
Yeah.
So you had to rookie something.
Who does your stats? Come on, get that down. Yeah, and you know what? That's actually a blessing because I was. Good God, it's a long season. I mean, obviously I didn't want to break my leg, but it was just kind of. It was like. I mean, the world was going a million miles an hour at that time, and but yeah, it's just but he's got a whole year to think about it. Yep. He's got a whole team's got a whole year to prepare for him. I mean, this is where it separates. This is tough. He's not going to surprise anyone.
No, we'll find out in 3 days.
Yeah,
this thing starts, not for him, obviously on Sunday, but 3 days on Thursday.
So is he not? Is he not ready yet?
He is, but Thursday's obviously the kickoff. It's the Chiefs and. I don't remember who the Chiefs kick off with, but the Chiefs and whoever on Thursday, and then Sunday, obviously they'll be playing Sunday. But he'll be starting.
That's big time.
It is.
What are your initial thoughts about the Hawkeyes this year? on the Utah State game.
Before the Utah State or after the Utah State game?
Both.
Before I was very optimistic. I think, obviously with just the guys coming back and I think, we did a lot of poor things last year. So it's not like we could really, I don't want to say do any worse, but, for the expectations and for the talent that there's in that locker room, certainly I think guys took it personally and to get better. And I think I think they've worked all hard all summer and going down there during training camp, you just got that good vibe of like, this is a team, that loves each other, that fights for each other. And not saying that we haven't had that in the past, but it just had that, I don't know, just had that kind of that energy that these dudes they're kind of firing on not all cylinders, but just they're getting it. And guys kind of defining new roles and having to step up and make plays. And some of the guys did that on Saturday and some of them didn't. But the good thing is, a lot of stuff left out there, all fixable, all coachable. Now it's whether the guys can process it, see it, fix it, and get better. Because I think, Ryan, you could agree that, most teams, between week 1 and week 2 is just a huge jump. I mean, we even talked with the Wildcats, football team like that. That's where teams make that jump, and we're no different. Just like the Cyclones, we're no different. Like this is like where, because now you need to, because now this is what becoming a pro or becoming a football player is all about. You prepare, you do your job. Now you watch the film. Now you be your hardest critic, or do you say, I'm all right, or I don't need to work, or or you like, God, I need to fix that. And now does everyone across the board take that approach and fix and then get better and do it again on Saturday and improve. So that's the exciting thing about it, is like, how do these guys, take 2 steps forward, 2 steps back? We'll find out.
Yeah. 1 to 2 is the most exciting. I agree. Week 1 to week 2 is the most exciting. There's not going to be more growth on your team the rest of the season. So you're going to find out week 2. By week 3, I think you are what you are. You know what I mean? And I think you can still get better from 2 to 3, but by 3, you know what you got and what you are. But the next week's always fun. And I would say the same thing. Like, you've been in locker rooms, cultures that are right, and you've been in locker rooms that cultures are wrong, and you can't define it. Because it's not necessarily a culture, it's an environment, right? When you're around the environment, it feels good. I think Iowa State's the same way. It's similar to what you're saying, Dallas. We had a chance to work with both of those teams this summer on some charity stuff, and I agree, you're around the groups. They love each other. They want to be around each other, and you can't define it. It's like, oh, it's a good culture. Well, define it. Well, you can't define a good or a bad one. You just know when it's good and bad, and I think the environment right now in Ames is the same way. It's excitable. I think we left a lot on the field. Same thing. I would say the same thing you said. It was a lot of complete game. We had good special teams, good defense, at times good offense. But at the same time, it was very efficient offense. You only ran 45 plays, which is insane. I can't remember the last time Iowa State ran 45 plays in a game. But
for the whole game?
The whole game. 45 plays, yeah. So it feels kind of crazy with your total offense.
Insane.
But with the new clock rules, it just didn't work out that way. And so it was a really efficient game. They averaged 5.5 yards per game, which is not terrible. No. Or 5.5 yards per play, which is not terrible, but it's still not. I think there's a lot on the field still.
Well, it's exciting. I mean, coming from an outsider and not knowing as much as you guys, like what's exciting, I think, for you guys is that coming into this game, people were talking about you and I beating, Iowa State, like, oh, the gambling, all that bull crap, and just like, oh my gosh, they don't got a quarterback, they don't got the running, all this stuff. It's all of a sudden it's like, all right, hand in the pads, we're done, right? So that was kind of the perception. I love a line that Coach Dungy, I use with my kids all the time: perception versus reality. Like, the perception was Iowa State's, I think they got they're going to intramural teams and like trying to find the next quarterback, and like, oh my gosh, it's, that was the perception. And then reality, obviously, you and I found out the hard way. It's like, oh crap, they're still good, and we're, we got some holes, and those got exposed. So I think have to feel pretty good coming out of that Saturday game.
Yeah, how do you think Kirk Ferentz and Campbell run like kind of similar programs? Do you think?
I think what is similar, and Ryan, you know him better than I do, but what I think Coach Ferentz does a great job, and I think it's his resume speaks for itself. I mean, he gets I'm on that list. He gets the most out of his players. Like, he just gets guys to improve, do more than they think they could, and it's a work. It's a process. It's a body of work. It's not just like a 1 year. It's not just like they're developing. Obviously that's a big word there, and And so it's just like, if you believe in it, if you trust it, and you just kind of follow it, and as dark and as lonely and as impossible that you might feel like it being, it prevails. And not all, I'm not saying you make the NFL and all that stuff, but it prevails, and it shows itself on Saturday with those players coming out and coming out and showing what they can do. And I think that's kind of the Iowa State way. I think that's kind of Midwest. All that stuff. I think that's those guys really develop their players better than other organizations or programs.
Yeah, I think the same thing. You look at like Iowa State on Saturday, they played roughly 50 to 60 kids on both offense and defense. I'm not talking about special teams. So like defense, I know at one point in the third quarter, the number was at 27, 28. I don't know what it ended at, but you look at, they had 60 kids ready to play. A lot of freshmen, a lot of sophomores, same kind of thing. Got the most out of kids. If you think, I can't even imagine being a true freshman and walking on a football field at Iowa State at that time.
Jeez.
Or Iowa or anywhere.
Yeah.
It's just the lights were too bright for me coming out of here. I wasn't ready. I had to redshirt. What they were able to do to get 60 kids ready to play a football game was unbelievable. And I think it's the same thing. The coaches and their staff Parker's known for this, right, at Iowa, and having them very prepared. And so I would say the same thing at Iowa State. That's similar to, I think, both teams. Like, when you come into Saturday, Iowa will be prepared to play the football game. Like, that's done. You know what they're going to be. I've known since the day he walked onto campus, Coach Cyrens, and I could have told you the game plan in 2000 is going to be the same game plan it's going to be in 2023.
Yeah.
And it hasn't changed.
Yeah.
And that's a compliment. You know what I mean? And that he's not chasing anything. And I think that's Coach Campbell, I would say, has a very similar outlook on what he wants to do. If you saw on Saturday, you get that 30-0 lead, and you're like, okay, here we go. And I know exactly what Coach Cyrens would have done with that same lead, and I know what Coach Campbell's done with that lead. And so there's more similarities between the two than not.
Yeah. What do you think about the whole offensive coordinator for Brian Ferentz that has to make an incentive to keep his job? What do you think as a former player? You think that's kind of silly?
It's ridiculous. I mean, there's it's never been done. I'm assuming. I'm just going to go off just pure assumption, but there's no way that's ever been done publicly. And it might be like, hey, dude, you gotta score some more points.
Yeah.
But to put in your contract and to okay, this is our way of being able to fire you. It's just it's ridiculous, and it's unfortunate. But that's the way it is, and I think the Ferentzes, I think that's the way they are going to approach it. Okay, well, that's maybe if we would have done better, maybe we wouldn't be in this dilemma. And and when you hire your son, that's the stuff that these are hard choices, hard things. You're going to have to be able to fire your son. You're going to have to be able to reward your son. It's tough, and so it's not easy, and so it's unfortunate. But why not? Let's have a little chip on our shoulder. Let's approach and let's rally around it. If I'm a player and that's my coach, it's like, hey, coach, we got you. Let's go to war. And I'm assuming they're not dumb to it. They're not blind by it. They know it. They feel it. And hopefully they look at that elephant in the room and go, okay, that's our goal. Obviously we want to win every game, but if we're going to help our coach, let's go do our job.
Yeah, what do you say to the fans that the Hawkeye fans that seem like they can't win like they used to, when you were playing? What would you say to that fan? I feel like that's a big there's a huge chunk of maybe they're just online that elevates the chunk of what people kind of say online. It kind of elevates what people think. But what do you think?
This is where I try not to ever. I hope I never become a fan. Because obviously fans lose their minds, and I try not to. I try to look at them as kids and try to never lose touch of that locker room and know what it takes to do that, and don't forget what has been put in, what those coaches are trying to do. Let's not forget that, and that's where I try to come when I watch a game on Saturday as a fan, just like everyone else. But I refuse to try to say I'm a fan, but it's just one, it's kind of a mindset of, okay, if you approach it that way, then I think the ridiculousness kind of, because who else, okay, let's just, at the end of the day, who else do you want to coach your son? Obviously Coach Campbell does a great job, but You're telling me Coach Cyrens can coach I want him to coach my son every day. I want, my 2 boys right now, go play. I mean, because you're going to be a better man. You're going to be a better player. Like, what else do you want from a university? So, that's just the stuff that it's just like we got to slow our roll a little bit when there's some bumps in the road. It ain't going to be pretty.
So, like, Ryan, what do you think, like, the main, like, the bulletin board material in Iowa State's locker room right now, what do you think it is? Looking forward to this week, going to practice.
There's no bulletin board material.
There's not?
In Iowa. No. It's like, hey, boys, play hard, better team. No, I'm kidding.
No, there may be by the end of the week, but I just in their Saturday, the game's over. They're celebrating that game yesterday, so Sunday would have been the start of the next week. There's no bulletin board. It's all they got to get better from week 1 to week 2. That's more important than anything else right now. They want to beat Iowa. Iowa wants to beat Iowa State. There's no doubt. But again, back to what we talked about to start this, they have to get better from week 1 to week 2. You don't get this again in the season, and so they got to get better in a lot of spots. They got to clean things up. They're so busy working on cleaning up what happened last weekend. Same thing for Iowa. There's some holes there. They're working on that now. When they go home and their family's texting them and their families are calling them and they watch the news and they see RVTV and they see all the noise that goes around, they pay attention. I paid attention. I wanted to win the game. But you're so busy in the program, you don't have time to, you're not sitting on a couch like everybody else around a water cooler. Their days are full from the morning to the night, and they are so structured what they're doing. They're not sitting around gossiping about what someone said or didn't say.
I got a question. So let's go back. Let's go back in time. Let's go 1998. All those 99. Those glory days. Okay, so you have McCarney. I still have Cyrens. I know Cyrens. We approached it differently back then. And watching him approach it, I've been in the locker room before the game, during this game. After the Iowa State game, and it's totally different. You guys approached it. It's similar to us, where it was like we called it out, like, "Hey, we got to win this game. This is a big game." Coming from from what I've seen as of late, and I can't tell you exactly how long ago, but it's been a while now. But and I think it's why Coach Cyrens is Coach Cyrens is because whoa, guys, we gotta we can't put the fans, the media, everyone puts enough on it. We can't sit here and look at our guys and go, we got to win this game because. What if we lose the game? Now we're like, hey guys, it wasn't that big a game. Don't worry. Hey, we got to focus on whoever the next game is. So I think they realize we got to stop making this our little Super Bowl within the year because it could have a big hangover. We got like Ryan said, the next day it's done. You get 24 hours, fix it, move on, and now it's the new guy. The new opponent. So it's kind of funny to see how, I think how. I'd be curious how Coach Campbell handles it different than McCarney because I'm guessing McCarney was.
Oh yeah, Coach Campbell is saying like what you're just saying right there. He's not going to bet the season on 1 week, and he'll never do that. Coach McCarney wasn't either, but he knew that he had to win that game. Yeah. And at that time, when you're turning a program around, you had to win the in-state game to start winning kids to come to play at Iowa State. Yeah. And that's kind of what started to happen. When you look back at that time. My freshman year, we got just boat raced in Ames. Literally embarrassed. But the funny thing is, you talk about bulletin board material. Hayden Fry throws a wheel route up the sidelines and scores a touchdown late. I think it was either Tavian Banks or Tim Dwight. I don't remember who it was. It's late. This game's way out of reach. We played that video 500 times before the next time we played them. Yeah. You know what I mean? That he gave us everything we needed the next year. That can't when you're a grown man, it's done. Someone cannot do that to you. And that was 15 years of that. And so now today, this is a very important game too. There's no way. Both schools were fighting for J.J. Cole. Both guys will fight for Cooper DeJean. Both guys will fight for Xavier Wampa. Both guys are fighting for J.J. Cole, or for not J.J. Cole, but for all the other Iowa guys in there as well. And you look at this game matters for that. Jamison Patton was up for grabs for everybody, and he picked Iowa State. It's not because you won that game, but you can't be beat 15 years in a row and pick those kids up normally. And so the game's important for in-state recruiting, but they'll never bet a season on it. They'll never bet a season that this is going to be their Super Bowl. And so I don't. The most important thing for both schools, they have to get the greatest amount of improvement from week 1 to week 2, more than anything else that'll happen this week.
What are you guys' thoughts of moving the game back, into like where rivalry week is like with Bam and Auburn, like move it back to like Thanksgiving, like moving the game back. What do you guys think about that? Would that change the dynamic? Because like you guys think like obviously you're thinking get better game to game. That's obviously more of a beginning of the season mentality. Does that change when like maybe like Iowa State and I already know like they're not going to make the conference title, so like maybe that game will mean maybe will that change it? You think or no?
Here's what I think this game's in jeopardy right now already. Yeah. So I don't even think that. Unfortunately, when you start having the conference expansion like you have, and then you go to play 10 games a year, I don't think they're both raising their hands right now and say, hey, okay, the other 2 games I want to play Iowa. Yeah. I don't want to play Iowa State. Like they don't like. Alabama plays Ed's Beds on their off week. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know who they're picking up this week, but they're not playing. I don't know who their 2 non-conference games are, but I guarantee one of them, the high school team will give them a good run right now. So,
Louisiana Lafayette, I think maybe.
Exactly. So I don't know what's going to happen in this game. I love it in the beginning of the year. I think it's everyone's excited about the program. Yeah. It's a cool environment. It's warm still. I love it where it's at. I wouldn't touch the week. I think it's an amazing week. You're getting them week 2. And why I like week 2 is week 1, it's still sloppy. Week 2, you start getting teams they'll be both a lot better.
Didn't it used to be week 3? I remember like having 2 games before this game. Or has it always been week 2?
Early on, like 96 or 97, I think it was. That's the world I'm locked in. It's a long time ago, man. But it's been week 2 for a long time. I love it, though. I like it where it's at. I think it's one of the bigger games this weekend coming up.
Well, and what's great, it fits the fans, right? Because it's still unknown, and the season isn't defined with this game. And I think even, because we all have our excuses already dialed up, like if we lose the game, right? It's like, throw them out, right? The good thing is it's week 2, and we have a chance to, like to do something about it. But if it's later, it just kind of loses, the season has kind of defined itself. It kind of, like I'm a Mets fan. I haven't paid attention to the Mets. Once they're in the cellar, it's just like, geez, this is rough to watch, So now it's already kind of lost, it might lose. Like right now, everyone's jacked. We want Iowa State to win that first game. They want us to win that first game. We want to go in this game undefeated, get everyone fired up, and let's go to battle. I mean, it's exciting. It's great for the state, and that's kind of what we all like to cheer for.
Yeah, just from like a fan perspective, like the reason why I would want to change it is because like sometimes like Iowa State doesn't come out shooting out of the gate. Sometimes Iowa doesn't either, and like sometimes Iowa State like it wasn't always like this. We get better as the year goes on.
Yeah,
like it used to be like, all right, we got to play them early because we have a lot of injuries that like we kind of fall off a cliff because like our 2s and 3s and 4s aren't as good as the 1s, but now like we recruited, so like those players actually can play. So I don't know. That's just my thought process was.
Don't be that fan that says, oh, well, if we played you in 3 weeks, we'd beat you. I mean, you can't. I mean, because it's you play when you play, and I mean, because if you start doing that, then it's like, well, shoot, can we all play a bunch of slappies and then like in December, or November or something, like, you gotta be ready, you gotta play, and I think that's kind of, as a player, I think that's how you have to approach it, and and certainly I think that's how I know players won't be saying, oh man, if we could play them in November, we'd have a chance.
Yeah, because one of the reasons why I asked you that, because like you played in one of the games where it was later in the year because of 9/11. So what was that year differently than the years before?
They still lost.
We still lost.
Yeah, nothing changed.
Lost. Were you in? No,
it was the year after.
It was the year after you lost. Okay,
that was your last year, your junior year, but your last year.
Yeah, that was that whole, we're just gonna tab that one as just a weird year, right? I mean, because obviously 9/11 and I mean the whole world stopped, and we just moved that, and so like, and then what was crazy is like that game, it was like a weird gray, cool, wet day. I mean, it was just eerie. It was just the whole thing, and so it just kind of, but obviously everything was on the line, and whether we would have played them, for, on that 9/11 or that week, then, who knows, but you just can't sit there and go, man, if we would have played them early, and, but it's still, it's still an opponent. It's still a game. It's week, whatever, doesn't matter. It's you have your opponent in front of us, and we got to be the better team. And so it doesn't matter whether it's in a parking lot, whether it's, during Christmas, whatever, you just got to go play. And obviously, every time I played Iowa State, we didn't play. So I'm going to jump on the landmine here. So anyone that doesn't know, I never beat Iowa State. Ryan never lost.
No, we lost my freshman year.
Your freshman year.
Yeah,
but
I never lost
that,
a
But you started the ultimate
the turnaround.
The turnaround.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was a long road.
It was
I'm gonna tell you
incredible.
that. Yeah,
It was huge.
Yeah, it was a long road. I mean, it was your brother was obviously part of that as well. He was so his senior year we beat him in Kinnick, 27-9, which was a crazy game. I mean, it was a crazy game. Special teams played a huge part in that game. But it's the funny thing. I've lost the game and I've won the game, and I remember the next Monday. It didn't matter. You got to go back to work.
Yeah.
The football season. If you've never been in the locker room around it, and you know this way more than anybody, Dallas, but it goes so fast. It's like you done. Next game, we got to go. 2 weeks in a season feels like 3 months like ago in a regular working world, right?
Yeah.
And so it literally is by Monday. You played on Saturday. After the Saturday, when they go to Monday, those teams, they'll be disappointed if they win, and they'll be excited if they won, but they have to move on, and they will have moved on. Like, it goes so fast. I can't explain how fast this is. We'll be sitting around at work talking about it for a week.
Yeah.
They're done. They haven't even thought about
Yeah.
it. It is so over. You can't understand how over this is once this game's over.
Coach Dungy always had the 24-hour rule, and that was no matter if it was, playoff game, week 1, division, non-division, it doesn't matter. 24 hours, you get to enjoy it, and you get to dwell on it. But then, come Monday, it's turn the page. We got bigger problems to face.
Yeah, so I'll ask you this question. My dad thought this was a silly question, but I'll ask
Whoa!
anyways.
Don't throw. Your dad's not here. I mean, he's here, but he's not here to defend himself.
Yep.
So, we'll see if it's a silly question.
Would you trade your Pro Bowl?
That's a terrible question.
That one.
that's just
that one win, that Seneca Wallace comeback win. You guys go to the title game. Would you trade your
My
one
Super Bowl?
No, Pro Bowl.
Oh, Pro Bowl.
Would you sacrifice your Pro Bowl just for one win so you go play in the national championship?
Absolutely not. There's no way.
Not even. Wouldn't even think about it. I mean, one, because that's Oh God, that game. That's still that one. Yeah, that's one game I want to watch that game again, and I want to watch our Super Bowl that we lost against New Orleans. Like, I haven't watched those games, and I'm kind of curious to geez, because I remember it in my head, but I want to see, but no, I would not trade it because Pro Bowl. Come on, that's amazing, and what stinks about that is a terrible question, Craigers, but because it was Thomas's question, and you thought it was ridiculous. Okay. It's ridiculous only because you're making me choose you're making me sound selfish because I'm picking my accomplishments.
I tried to answer for you.
And now you're like, okay, so now you wouldn't help the entire Hawkeye Nation. One, I'm only saying that because obviously I'm going to pick however it went out, because that's the way it's supposed to go. So I don't sit there and say, I wish, because it didn't happen. So I'm not going to live in Fantasyland. But
it's a heavy trophy.
But
it was wasn't a bowling trophy back then.
Back then, it was like this. Yeah, it was pretty ugly. It actually was pretty ugly and beat up.
Yeah, and obviously I want to, but we didn't, as a team, we didn't deserve to win that game, and so we didn't, so it's done. So I don't approach it. It's a fun question. I thought it was a fun question. Just because, because I also think Pro Bowls and all that stuff, MVP trophies, all those accolades that people get, those are team trophy. Those are team awards. Come on, you think Peyton didn't help me, or Jeff Saturday, or
Peyton was all right.
Dwight Freeney, those guys are all right. Coach Dungy, Tom Moore, offensive coordinator, all those guys helped. So as much as it looks like an individual award, the way I approach that, I have so many people that helped get there, everyone was involved to help lose or win games. So terrible question. Gosh,
my bad.
You're gonna sleep tonight thinking about that one.
It's a thinker though. It's a thinker.
Yeah, because I don't know, that basically those couple of games that you had bad days, those created my childhood, because without Seneca Wallace, my childhood was kind of bare, because we didn't have a top quarterback guy until Brock Purdy, which was a long time. So, yeah.
I think what I would like to change is my performance. Like I didn't think I played very well in any of those games. Like that's what kills me. Like losing, obviously bad, but it's like because so you lose, then you look back instantly on like, okay, what did I do or didn't do, and I didn't do enough, and that's what ticks me off.
Do you have like a type of brain where like you remember your mistakes in games, or like, and you can still think about if this happened, that could
You
change
remember your mistakes more than good stuff.
Gotcha.
I mean, that is 100. I think that's I don't think you play very long if all you do is like talk about how cool you are and talk about the good games and stuff like that. That's Ryan. How about you? Do you remember?
Oh, absolutely.
Getting.
Yeah, I remember the mistakes.
Yeah.
And I remember when guys are better than you. Like when I remember lining up thinking, man, that guy got me today. Like, and it's a bad feeling. You want to go back and do it again immediately. So Andre Garrard, he played for 10 years for the Cowboys. And that guy, he played at Colorado. And I was whooping up on this All-American center from Colorado. I mean, I had my way with him until this freshman came in, and I was super excited.
No way.
Oh, yeah, I got a freshman coming in. He comes jogging in.
During the game?
During the game. I got
the guy got pulled.
Well, he kind of got hurt.
Okay.
You know, he kind of got hurt. Freshman
Just
comes
say got
in.
pulled because that sounds better.
Well, he should have.
You broke his will, got him fired.
Yes.
Freshman comes in
And breaks my will. And this freshman was so good. Andre Garrard, he was so good. So good.
Please tell me he's a redshirt freshman.
No, man. This guy was a true freshman
Holy
from
Lord.
Texas. And he was, I can't even tell you how good this guy was. So fast and powerful. I still to this day remember that guy whooping up on me.
That's impressive.
But yeah, I remember the days, and you do remember the bad plays. I remember my freshman year at Lincoln missing a sack, where I mean it was dead center staring at a sack and running past the sack.
Who was the quarterback?
Sack. I don't remember who was in the game at that time. We got boat raced in that one too as a freshman, but it was they were the Alabama at the time, right? That's the team, and I had a chance early in that game to make an impact in the game, and I literally whiff on a sack. And yeah, you almost look back at those plays, and they still stick in your head more than any tackle or big play that happens to you.
All right, we're going off script here. You talked about Nebraska. Okay, so we played there my freshman year. Okay, so when you walked under the stands, right?
Oh yeah, through the crowd.
Through the crowd. And they're high-fiving you, right?
Well,
are they saying good job?
I don't know. It feels weird. It's
Did they do that
condescending.
to you?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I don't know what that is.
Okay, so I just want to make sure because it was the weirdest thing. So
I don't think they're still doing it right now.
And believe me, I'm a little happy inside about that. But anyway, that's another podcast. But so you walk under the tunnel, under the bleachers, end zone bleachers, and there's just a gate, a fence that the players walk and crowd on both sides, and they're giving you a high five, like, "Hey, good job," like kind of like you do like to your little brother, like, "Hey, nice try, buddy. Good game. It's kind of like that."
Yes.
And you're kind of, and we had, it's Coach Ferentz's first year or second year at that time. It was his first year. We're beat down. I mean, we are struggling, trying to rebuild our program. And so we're walking through this, never seeing anything like this before. It's like, what in the world? And it was the most, so I didn't know if that was just us. It's
everybody. It's a weird feeling.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's very poor.
Well, they're not doing it anymore.
No, and that's good. But I kind of want.
And for those listening that have been there before and haven't had to go through that, you are happy every time they lose if you've ever walked through that crowd before.
It's bad because you walk through and you get in the locker room and you're like,
what just happened?
Why were they genuine there? There's no way they didn't mean that. Like they were making fun of us, right? Like, I mean, it's true. And then you wanted to go back out, like, but then it's like 70 or whatever. It's like, all right, let's just get on the bike. Let's get the heck out of here. Stupid ass.
So, who do you guys think the X factors are for both teams next week or this week? Like these players, these players have to play well.
Tory Taylor, no.
Punting's winning.
Yeah, Punting's winning.
It is.
Who goes first?
I'll go first.
You go first.
It's the same. I'll tell you, it's the same game plan they had in 2000.
It's true.
It's field position. It's
turnovers
and field position. That's all they do.
Gotta win that.
Yeah, and then that's what they do to you, and it's the most frustrating thing. But you might as well know what's coming. They'll blank you. You know what I mean? And that's the problem. All they're trying to do is turn. You have to play 100 yards of football, and they get to play 50. Mm-hmm. That makes, you know what I mean? And so it is the most frustrating thing playing in that game because you're playing on a 50-yard field. They're playing on a 50-yard field, and you're playing on a 100-yard field until it eventually goes in their favor. And that is what you got to get out of that with them. You have to flip the field on them because Tory Taylor will flip the field on you. And then you're punting out of your own end zone, and you're trying to get one off quick, and the ball lands on the 50. And their offense will go for 8 yards. They'll punt it back at you, and it lands on the 2, and you'll punt it back out, and you'll eventually make a mistake, and they'll return it or pick it off,
or muffle punt,
or pick it off for an interception for a touchdown. Again, they're playing on 50 yards. You're playing on 100 yards. That is Iowa in a nutshell right there. What they're trying to do to you.
And don't forget the intangible of this game. I mean, this is like it doesn't matter. Iowa State could be, back in the day when it was, it didn't matter who had the better record, who had this. I mean, I think we can all agree that you can take all of the things that we're feeling right now and just put in a big old fire and make a big old fire and just put it all in there, because this game, it just has that sav. I mean, it just has something about it, and now it's like, oh, it's in Ames. There's that advantage and things like that. It's just weird stuff happens in this game. Weird stuff happens, always does, always will. And that's
how about the double rain delay? I mean, I thought Iowa State had controlled that game, double rain delay. I really did. They came out, had a great control, rain delay. Come back out, grab control again, go in the rain delay. Iowa comes back out after that, finishes the game, beats us.
Yeah, but
I'm driving home thinking, how did we lose?
But you still, I think it's the same game. Isn't that the game where it still had like a chance to win? Then you guys muffed the punt, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was the same game. It was like 7 games in one game. It's the weirdest game. Oh,
I was ready to go home. I don't even care at that point. I didn't care what happened anymore. I just want to go home.
Get it? Oh yeah. So it's such a bizarre, and that's what I think we all love about it. I think that's why we all get so giddy about it, because truly, and it goes back to our original question is, I think that's why it's great to have it week 2, because we're all still like, we all have a chance. We all have like the season's still fresh. We can still go do what we want to do as a program, and this is just kind of a catapult. But does this help you beat Nebraska? Does this help you beat Oklahoma? Texas coming? No, it does not help. It does not help at all. But man, it does give you a little, just a little savvy, a little swagger, a little moxie going into the season.
But like stylistically, like I feel like Campbell's era is more towards, they run similar like programs, and like there used to be Iowa State teams where we run complete opposite of what the Big Ten is doing, but now we're doing like the same thing, and I feel like Iowa is just one. Iowa State, I feel like the last couple years around, maybe if you agree, let me know if you do. We've been trying to out Iowa, and especially special teams. Like we have not had the kicker you guys had. You guys had the best kicker, and like I feel like right now we have a great kicker that's could be pretty close to Tory Taylor, because this last weekend he had a great day.
Yeah,
which for Iowa State I feel like that's big, because if he can keep that up.
Does he have an accent? Does he speak with an accent? Because our punter speaks with a sweet accent.
Yeah, we know about Tory Taylor. And so
I don't think they try to out Iowa. I think that Iowa State has its own identity. The one thing that Campbell doesn't want to play when he came to the Big 12, and that's how he won. He's beaten every team in the Big 12. How he did it was not trying to outrun them. He didn't want to turn into a basketball game. He slowed the game way down, less plays, made it go into his favor. I mean, we just won a game, 30-9,
45 plays.
With 45 plays. I'll take that all day. You know what I mean? And the reason I say they're not, I mean, we're running a 3-man front, which Iowa comes in laughing, thinking we're going to run all day. Nope, can't. And Brian Ferentz and everybody on that side of the ball, including other fans, is frustrated, because when they first threw out a 3-man front, I was like, what are we doing? And now I'm like, this is hilarious, because it looks like there's holes everywhere until they aren't. You know what I mean? I think we aren't them. By the way, they may blitz every once in a while. They're going to sit in that 4-3, and it is the most boring, great defense you're going to see all season long. And it's going to be the battle of defenses. Again, I really believe that. I had a chance to watch the Iowa game on film. They started hot. They hit that nice open touchdown where I think the defender slipped.
He fell off. Yeah, he fell.
And then on fourth down, went for it, got the touchdown with Eric All. And then that was a good touchdown. Then after that, they just kind of settled into their play. But their defense is still what their defense is. And they're fantastic. Really good.
The turning point of that game for us was that for whatever reason, when we went for it on 4th and 1 about the 32-yard line, like we didn't get it, which is demoralizing. But good teams come back. Like I told the tight ends after the game, like, hey, we ran the ball because that's it was kind of like, all right, boys, all right, we've been working hard all year. We've been talking this, got to improve this. At some point, you just put all the talk away and you just freaking line up. 2 men in a phone booth, as Tom Moore would always say. One guy comes out, and it should have been, could have been, would have been not. It wasn't, But here's the thing: how do we respond? And we responded terribly. And I think that's what's going to be the point. Is like, okay, guys, when it goes bad, how are we going to respond? Because good teams, they come back the next drive and they freaking pound it down their, just their throat, and we just kind of hit cruise control. It's just like it's kind of very disappointing, and obviously that's going to be taught and corrected, but yeah, it is definitely not something that is going to win the good games, the close games, and things like that. So it's that type of stuff kind of comes out with playing the Cyclones, and in this game, it's just those little battles. It's like who's gonna flinch, who's gonna make that play, who's gonna it's just because every team, we know them, they know us. It's out executing. Who can out execute? Who can take care of the ball? It's the boring, the little things, and that's what makes it. If you're a football fan, that's what makes it a beautiful thing.
Yeah, bring it back to that one rain delay game. Like what happened at the very end of that game that people don't talk about, the Tron Young running into the punt returner is Iowa State was out of timeouts. Iowa passed it to their tight end, and the tight end ran out of bounds. Gave us free extra time. It was like, all right, well, Purdy's gonna go down and score, and then we run a punt I can't. You guys are football guys, but for Campbell, I feel like even this week, Jalen returned the kicks punts way more than I feel like we've done in the Campbell era.
Yeah.
Is that the special teams coordinator, I think?
I think Coach Campbell is very involved in the special teams right now. That's what I would tell you. I think he's very involved in it, and I think it showed on Saturday. So he spent a lot of time with it. When I was at camp, when I say involved, I mean he's in the mix of that thing. So his hands are all over that special teams. You saw it all day Saturday, and I would tell you, from what I've seen in camp, his hands are all over it. That's the best I can tell you. And so I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised they were as aggressive on kick returns because he knows he has to be better on the special team side, and I think they did that from a 56-yard field goal to, he had a punt return called back that, I saw it as a marginal hold at best, and then a kick return called back. There was probably a 60-yard kick return called back, and that was marginal at best too. So that game was pretty fast for the refs and Ames on Saturday. That's what I would tell you. But yeah, I think they're going to be super aggressive. They're going to return kicks. Jalen Knoll will return kicks on Saturday. How far, I don't know, but they will be aggressive with it. I know that.
Yeah, because Iowa's had the upper hand the last couple of years in special teams, and if we're going to have a chance, I feel like we need to at least be on par with them because that's when it's a good game. Because whenever there's turnovers one way or the other, I feel like that's where it's easily who's going to win.
Yeah,
and it's not it's usually not even home or away. It's just whoever the small thing. So.
Yeah, that's the beauty of this game. We're talking about special teams, right? What game do you talk about? Hey, we need to win special team battle. I mean, the Iowa State game, because it's so, the margin of error is just so fine. It's just like, okay, where can we get that edge? And I think LeVar Woods is just tremendous, and that obviously that has the last few years has been our biggest scoring threat. And just having a lot of. Just being able to get the ball, winning the field position battle. I mean, just all those little things that you can't watch, don't show on ESPN because they're boring. You can't really look at them on the stat line. I mean, it's just those things that are just those hidden yards are huge, and we definitely try to take full advantage of those.
Yeah, they turn into a 50-yard field for them.
Exactly.
They play on 50, you play on 100. It's been going on for 20 years, and you got to stop that from happening. You have to. It's gonna. You and I were standing next to each other at the Iowa State game last time. It was in Ames, actually in the end zone. Yeah. And at the time in the first quarter, Iowa State was just manhandling Iowa physically. And I was like, this is going to be – I felt very confident at that point in the game. Next thing you know, Breece Hall fumbles the ball. and Jack
Campbell knocked it
picks
out,
it
right?
up. Yep,
He knocked out and then picked it up and
runs it in
scored,
for
right?
that touchdown. I was like, well, here we do the Iowa thing. They just played on 10 yards, because what had happened, we made them punt. They punt down to like the 5-10 yard line. First play, sweep left. Jack Campbell comes, knocks the ball up, picks it up, runs to the end zone. I go, well, here we go. This is Iowa. Yep. They just played on 10 yards and we played on 100. And that is how they win. And it's not luck. You don't do this for that many seasons on luck. I mean, I think in the last, I can't remember the number of turnovers. They have like 161 interceptions in the last, I can't remember the number of years. It's like a lot in the last 20, I think it's the last 20 or 15 years. They have 161 interceptions. That's insane. And so when you look at like their, statistically what they're doing, you can't be lucky 161 times. They know exactly what you're doing. You have to understand what they're trying to do. You're not trying to out Iowa. You're just trying to not let Iowa out Iowa you. You know what I mean? And you're sometimes being conservative because if you don't and you turn the ball over, it's game over. They want the turnover more than they want that punt. So you got to protect the ball in this game.
Hopefully, people at home didn't get confused with the out Iowa without Iowa. I mean, there's a lot.
I'm running in circles.
I'm trying to think of who's Iowan. I mean,
I've heard it.
I don't even know what team I'm on right now. I'm just like
219 interceptions since 2009. Just looked it up. 219 interceptions since
2009.
Yes, 219 interceptions. That's not a mistake.
Lord.
All right, we'll end on this. How do we keep this rivalry going for the foreseeable future and make sure it doesn't go away?
Oh. And that's just sad to think about.
Yeah.
I mean, this is honestly like this is the last year. Like this is the last year that life as we know. I mean, it's sad. It's just sad for everything, all the traditions, all the rivals, it's a money game and it's winning, and money don't give two craps about Cyclone and Hawkeyes and it's
RBTV.
It's yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, it's awful. And I don't pay attention to that stuff. So, I mean, obviously if that is a legit like concern, which obviously it's gotta be, but I would think that at some point it's like, okay, but we have to have, but it's scary to think that, I don't know. Ryan, do you know any more about that?
I don't know anything, but I know one thing. When you're playing 10 conference games, you're not dying to go play a Power 5 school.
Yeah.
That beats you up like you can't believe. Like, that. Like when you're playing Power 5 versus, maybe some MAC schools, and we all played in those games, and they're great athletes all over their field, but physically it's a different game. You just don't feel the same leaving that game as you do like one of your conference games. So I don't know if it's in jeopardy. I know they signed it out. I can't remember how far it's signed out now. I know there's a relatively good extension on it, but when you're playing 10 Power 5 games, you're not dying to go sign up for an 11th one or a 12th one, right? So I don't know what's going to happen with it. It's a sad thought to think, and I don't know anything. I know you don't either, Dallas, but I just don't think people are dying to sign up for another Power 5 game if you already got to play 10 of them.
I mean, how are we going to know anything about this who would have thought USC and
I know.
Stanford, not Stanford, but UCLA coming into
Rutgers.
the Big Ten.
Like they're going to play Rutgers?
Like, how do you...
Once every 8 years. There's 16 teams, or how many teams? 20 teams down the Big Ten? You're going to see... It's funny because I hear fans saying, oh, man, we got Arizona State. It's like, we're going to go to Arizona State once every 7 years. Like, you don't go there all the time. There's so many teams now. They're in our conference, but they're not going to be if they're subdivision. They won't be a subdivision. It's one of those things like every third year. Yeah. It's like you going to Lambeau. How many times have you been to Lambeau in your career? Two times. In how many years?
14.
14 years. You've been to Lambeau twice.
Yeah.
So this is going to be no different, right?
Yeah.
You're just going to basically AFC, NFC kind of look, and then divisions.
But think about the basketball teams. Like think about do those kids get Sky Miles now? They got to be. They should. Come on. They should be they're going to be flying all over like football. At least, we have it easy. I feel. That's easy logistics, and it's still hard. But basketball, those sports,
or like gymnastics or softball,
they don't have a shot. Like they don't have a prayer. Like how is that going to make sense? They better have all online classes because there's no way they're going to be on campus. They'll be traveling. So
man, I wish I had that in college.
Oh, you basically did it. You did it anyway.
I did without the online part.
Yeah, they just gave you a degree, didn't they?
That was before Quizlet.
Yeah,
you guys won't get that joke. So
Hey,
yeah.
can I throw in something?
Huh?
What do you guys think of this? I just heard Chip Kelly talking about the rules change and not stopping the clock after first down. What's your guys' thoughts on that and how it's affecting the game?
If Chip Kelly did have a problem with the new clock rules when after a first down they don't stop the clock, it keeps running. It's back to Iowa State. We had 45 plays on Saturday. What I was displeased with, there's still 3-minute timeouts, TV timeouts, and so I know it still pays for the game. The NFL can play a game in 3 hours. How can the NCAA not play a game? We now have basically the same rules as the NFL. Let's get this thing done in 3 hours, and it was 100 degrees, 110 degrees in the stands. People are passing out, and we're playing a 3-minute commercial or trying to.
They roll that guy with the clock. He turns it the whole time. And it's just like,
Yeah, do what the NFL does. They kind of run that side commercial while to teams jogging out to do a.
Yeah.
And by the way, fans are paying attention to that commercial more when the game's still going. Like they got a chance to see a play, they're gonna watch the commercial. Now you have a 3-minute commercial. What's everybody do? If you record it, fast forward it.
Yeah.
Or if you're watching the game, you leave. You don't pay attention for those 3 minutes. So I was disappointed. That's less football, more garbage time, in my opinion. There was a lot of garbage time.
And then flip it to the football side of it where, now it's a whole, because that was, 2 minutes in college was like basically an extra quarter. You had all day. It didn't matter how many timeouts you had. Like it's like, how far do we need to go? 200 yards? 300? Yeah, let's go. You can just dink it down, get the first down, stops clock. It's just, you just had an eternity. So now, like these offense coordinators that live in the NFL or live in the college world, like I'm assuming they've like bought some videotapes on how to save time. Because it's a whole different ball game, strategy wise with the coaches and the players of time management.
Yeah, that was running clock. Running clock. You're used to it in the NFL.
Oh,
Yeah, 2 minutes in the NFL and 2 minutes in college is completely different.
Literally
close.
night and day difference.
Yeah.
Night and day. It
do
is.
you think they'll ever have a 2-minute drill or a 2-minute warning in college?
Well, I hope not, because that's another 3-minute timeout. That's another 3-minute commercial. It's
Hy-Vee would be happy about it though.
Exactly.
Hey, maybe Sound Siren can get a little ad.
right.
Come on,
Yep.
little 3-minute spot in there.
Yep.
We need more T-Bone on there.
Yep. Yeah, I guess you will probably know. Yeah, you probably know more than anyone that will probably be bothered because you're standing on the sideline, like
right next to the guy hanging on that clock. First thing I do when I see a TV timeout is I look at that clock. Like, what is? They always load the next timeout on the clock. So if you're sitting there, if you're ever paying attention, you'll actually see what the next timeout's going to be. And you look up and then you're like, oh, 2:55. Like, this is miserable. It's like 3 minutes of my life I'm not getting back. And so they need to figure it out. They have to figure it out. It's not okay.
But you guys are okay because Fox has Big Ten, and Fox, like, football games are like 14 hours on Fox. I don't know what it's like, oh my gosh. I think they just show one game on a Saturday because they don't have time to show two. It is, they make the games so long.
But you can buy a sham yow in the 3-minute timeout that you get because they're running infomercials in every break. It is ridiculous about what can happen between series on a football game. It breaks the game up too much.
Welcome to, they call the shots.
And
they do.
Another thing they need to figure out is the ticket situation because if they
if
they get that backed up, imagine next week all those fans will be fighting each other because there will be a Hawkeye Cyclone staying there for 50 minutes. No, there's no way some guy's not gonna say something. I think they'll get it figured out. I'm not sure what they're gonna do, but
they better.
I'm glad I'm not in charge.
It was bad, right?
Yeah, it was
pretty bad.
I got in there pretty early, but I beat the wave.
Well, you got media pass. You're on the. You don't have media pass yet? Man, hook him up with a media pass.
You need to be in the media.
Yep.
Seriously,
Yeah, you get up in the skybox.
Come on.
Watch from up there.
I heard they have AC now. I could use that last week for sure.
Yeah, and a buffet. It's amazing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. You're gonna look like me.
I'll go for the buffet first, and then AC. Then worry about where we're cool down. Yeah, because did I hear like half? Was it half empty? Or
Kickoff. There's
kickoff,
probably a little over half full, and then it took probably. It was 14-0 for a lot of people before they got in the stadium.
No.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, because I got there earlier than most people, and then I did it. But I did the thing what we're supposed to do, and I had to swipe 2 tickets. I'm like, well, that's gonna take a long time. It's like 6 tickets.
Wow.
And then the people that are doing it are just like DMAC baseball player like Chris, and they're not getting paid anything. So
yeah.
I don't know. They'll figure something out. But I really appreciate you guys coming on and doing the Cyhawk thing. It's been a blast.
We didn't even get I was kind of You
want
pick
some
up his
banter?
chair. Yeah, I mean, it was way too. I mean, your fans appreciate this. Like, did they, do they want a little like?
I mean, I don't know. This Iowa State Iowa rivalry. Where do you guys see the temperature is? Like, you guys think it's like way like more like controversial than when you guys were playing? Like, it's more. There's more Iowa State fans obviously than there were back then. I feel like
My take on it is that there are lunatic Hawkeye fans and there's lunatic Cyclone, and those people I try to avoid because they're ruining it. I mean, it's like, or the people that like can't cheer, like the Hawkeye fans that can't cheer for the Cyclones at all. Like, it's throughout the year. It's like, come on, people. Like, these are people. These are kids. These are like this is our state. Like, you got it. I mean, let's go. Like, come on. Like, what are we doing here? I mean, one, like, if you're really a true fan, like, wouldn't you want them to go? I want Iowa State to go undefeated because then that makes our schedule strength better, right? I mean, but personally,
it's already low.
It's right. Yeah, I mean, personally, it's like you want them to go do well. I mean, heck, we got Caden Matson, Humboldt alum.
Grew up a Hawkeye. How'd that happen?
Right. I mean, he did, didn't he?
Yeah. Which where the opportunity is, right? Like, it's different everywhere. And so and I told my brother this when I was playing Iowa State and I got done. I said, look, you don't know who's going to offer you that scholarship. Go where you can. He never ended up getting one, but at the same time, you go where you go. Your brother was a Cyclone, you're a Hawkeye.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you go where the opportunity is in front of you to get a chance to be on that field.
Yeah,
that's the most special. Like, if I could play one game in my life again, I'm going back to play that game. And it's not because of the hatred or wanting to win. It's because, like, everybody in the state that is in the stadium paying attention. And when you know who's watching the TVs, it's your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, your friends. And if I can tick off one of my buddy's dads who's a huge Hawkeye growing up, I wanted to do it, and it was more fun, like gives you that little inner motivation. But I would go, that environment as an Iowa kid is the most special game that if I could play in any game, I would play in that game one more time. Like, that would be my spot.
23 years later, he can still throw it in my face. Like, oh, how'd you do against Cyclones? It's like, son of a buck.
But you can say how many Pro Bowls you have.
Oof.
That's so boring.
Thomas, where are we going with this, man? Where are we going?
I mean, but see, do I win when I throw that? Like, I mean, that's like
you can.
That's like beating up an old man. Like, you just can't win. Like,
I mean, I got to go to work tomorrow. He doesn't. Like, let's how far are we going to take this? Like,
that's funny. Me too, though.
I know, right?
No
but at the same time, I cheered for him the whole way through, man. I mean, that's like every time I could. I mean, I watched the Colts. I didn't care about the Colts. I cared that Dallas did well, right? I mean, that's you wanted him to do well. You wanted him to be something special, and and he was. He turned out to be something amazing, and that doesn't happen very often. Him and Bruce Reimers in our community are the only two guys that have truly made it and had that happen. That's a lot of football players have played, and then to go to that level and to play at that amount of football, that's special. That is. I don't think people completely understand how hard it is. It is so hard. It is so hard.
Thanks, bud.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I tried.
See, we were trying to get bantering. Now all we got is compliments and just golly, we're too nice. I think.
No, it's good.
But it is good. I mean,
but that trophy does feel good to carry off a field. I don't know if you've ever done that before, but the Cyhawk trophy feels amazing. How heavy is that?
Actually, you know what?
You don't know, do you?
I do, because I went into the locker room 2 years ago, and got a picture.
When someone else won it?
Yeah, when they won it. Yeah, when my friends. No, I
get it.
You were there.
You were there.
God,
it is a great feeling.
It's all right. Running across and grabbing that, and I hope we can do that. But it's those 99.9% of those kids will never forget that.
Never.
They'll never forget that. Never forget that. It's awesome.
97, our bus comes home. We win 27-9. Big win, 15 years, blah, blah, blah. No heat on the bus. And I'm telling you, it was like a Saturday game when it was 100 degrees out. Not one guy had a shirt on getting off the bus when he got back. And no one complained. There was not one complaint. Those buses were 99 degrees. You can't even imagine how hot those things were. We were dripping wet, so it didn't matter. Absolutely.
Oh.
So there was no AC on that bus. And it was still one of the best bus rides.
Yeah, but okay, so coming in, when did the crowd start? 30? Highway 30?
When you pulled into, as soon as you saw the stadium, I bet there were 10,000 fans standing.
Easily.
Standing in front of Jack Trice.
15 years.
That's a long time.
That's
which
big
is
time.
so ridiculous, by the way. That should. But kudos to Peyton Fry. I mean, kudos to that guy. That's a hard game to win 15 times. I mean, we got 5 in a row after that, and then it's become a rivalry. Iowa's gotten a lot, and now Iowa State flipped it last year, and hopefully we keep it. You know, I mean, it's you want to keep that in your locker room. You want that trophy hanging around your place. It does feel good to have it around.
Even if you don't know how heavy it is.
No, I will tell you, when I left the locker room on Saturday, it was in the locker room. So
it's still there? They didn't lose it?
No, they still got it.
Thanks for reassuring our Cyclone fans out there that
it's still in good.
You still have it. I mean,
we still got it. It's
good.
It's in the middle of the locker room right now.
Why did we need to say that?
Yeah.
Why do you think we need to make sure that?
Yeah, we know how to treat it. We got it.
Did you I mean, is it any fingerprints on it? Like, is it
None of yours.
You didn't take it to like a fraternity party. I
wouldn't damage it. They had it for a while.
Yeah,
Too long.
Too long it was.
Well, yeah. As I said, I appreciate you guys having you guys on, and it's gonna be a long week of arguments, and it's one of the best weeks of the year, and
it's gonna be great.
Hopefully the weather will be a little cooler this weekend for us, and appreciate you guys coming on.
Thanks, Travis.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it, man.